all, what's your reaction then to Italy letting European travellers in now?
Well, we assist to more and more European countries now reopening their borders, but we also have to consider that most of them still have quarantine measures. They still have some forms of COVID test result requirements that are making free movement in Europe not a reality yet. So Italy might belong to an outlier set of countries, including Greece as well as Spain, which are slowly looking at how they can reopen, but most of them are doing it selectively, unlike Italy itself. And this is inevitably very problematic in the travel-free zone, which is Schengen, which is de facto eroded, or at least suspended at the moment, despite all the best attempts by the European Union to prevent this situation from happening.
That's the thing. Countries are unilaterally making decisions to reopen borders as they did to shut them. So do you think that the European Union has been weakened to some extent then because of this?
Well, there's no doubt that the European Union has been caught by surprise together with its own member states when COVID arrived and spread from Italy to many other European countries. Despite its best attempt at coordinating the way in which the measures were adopted and now lifted, it is true to say that at the moment, most of the member states are not listening to the European Union criteria that basically say that all what matters is the epidemiological situation of the different regions existing in Europe. We are assisting to a growing number of countries introducing measures based on reciprocity. So at the moment, for instance, in Spain, you enter the country, but you're subject to a quarantine. But this is not the case if you enter France. But at the same time, France is introducing a quarantine on all Spaniards or people coming from Spain into France. So why France is introducing a quarantine vis-a-vis Spain, but not the other countries? This is very discriminatory in nature, and the European Union seems extremely hesitant in going after countries that are introducing discriminatory measures. That's why many observers, including myself, are a bit concerned about the future of the free travel zone of Schengen and the political will to protect one of the major achievements of Europe, which is Schengen itself, the free movement, which is basically allowing millions, around 20 million, to live in a different country and to work in a different country of Europe. This is really at stake today, and we don't know whether this will be solved in the future, since this is going to take many more months in order to see how it will play out finally.
And what about the fact that Italy was hit first in Europe and very hard, and there was, it's fair to say, I think, little help at first from its neighbours in Europe. Has that affected how Italians feel about Europe at all?
Obviously, the fact that the European Union has been hesitant, together with the other member states, to assist Italy in the very first stages of the pandemic played an enormous role in the way in which the average Italian perceives the Union. At the same time, this is also giving an opportunity, when you look at the current polls, for Italians to see Europe as the potential savior in the future when it comes to the financial crisis, not only the sanitary crisis. So I think my own assessment is pretty mitigated. I think Europe still has a chance to fix this original sin that somehow caused in its slow reaction vis-a-vis the pandemic arrival in Italy. And we see a lot of happening now in Brussels with more and more European leaders finally reacting and saying we are here to be together and to come up with a solution that might address the sanitary emergency, but also the financial one and potentially the democracy emergency, meaning what is going to be the future of Europe. Because if we are not able together to tackle a pandemic, which is a cross-national threat, what are we here together for? And I think this is the big question that is going to keep busy political leaders after the summer, when the conference on the future of Europe will have to determine why we are together and how we can potentially transfer more competences from the member states to the Union, and perhaps to repatriate some competence from the EU to the member states. So there is a bit of a moment of truth for Europe in 2020.
Alberto Alemanno, thank you very much indeed for your time and your analysis. That's it for this edition.